to Tabletop-Infiltrator. Today we'll be checking in on my Redeemer's Space Marine chapter and seeing what progress I've made on the army. So what have I been up to over the last week? Well, I've actually been a lot busier than what I'd actually planned to be. I finished my captain in Phobos Armour, which I'm really happy with, and we'll have a look at him shortly. But I also did a thing. I wasn't 100% happy with the two tactical squads that I'd done. They were the first units that I'd painted up, and they came out slightly too dark. The transfers absolutely did my head in, and the sergeants weren't modelled with the weapons that I have with them in my list. I had been considering the heavy bolter options for the tactical squads, and I did have a load of spare bodies and parts in my bits box, and also from a Betrayal at Kulth box set that I had. So I decided to do another two 5-man tactical squads, and they came out a lot better. They were a lot cleaner looking, and the transfers went on a lot easier. I really like the utilitarian look of 30k parts, especially bolters and heavy bolters, so I decided to use those for the two squads. 30k parts really do look like they were built for a purpose, and avoids a lot of the ornateness of some 40k parts, which I really like. So let's have a quick look to see how they turned out. So here are my two tactical squads, which I've painted up using a Chaos Black rattle can, Heavy Blue, Abaddon Black, Lead Belcher Silver, Balthazar Gold, Gory Red, White Scar, Screamer Pink, Ushanti Bone, Cold Grey, Cadian Flesh Tone, Null Noel. I then used some sand from the beach stuck down with PVA glue for the bases and covered that in flesh wash. I painted these guys using the same painting technique that I'd done on my infiltrators, and I think they turned out a lot better than my first tactical squads. As you can see, the transfers sit a lot more flush and the armour looks a bit more cleaner. As a side note, you can also see that I used Heresy era helmets for the Marines. I really like the look of these helmets, and that's why I used them. Now with these two squads, I now have two different weapon loadouts that I can have for my tactical Marines. I can either have the las cannon or the heavy bolter, which gives me a little bit of a tactical choice when coming up against different enemies. With my tactical Marines done, let's have a look at the main event, my captain in Phobos Armour. And here he is. I really enjoyed this model. He was a bit more of a challenge due to the cloak restricting access behind him, and actually getting the model to fit together was a little bit tricky. I also did a tiny conversion replacing the head, as I didn't quite like the old man look of the original one. A side note, I also drill out the bolters on my models as well. I just prefer them that way, and it gives them a bit more of a realistic look. So how did I paint him up? I used a Chaos Black rattle can as the undercoat. Heavy Blue I airbrushed on as the base colour. Abaddon Black I used on the bolt weapon. Lead Belcher Silver was used on the armour joints, weapons, servo skulls, pendant, the backpack, the grip on the holster, the buckles on the leather straps, and the grill on his ventilator. Beastie Brown was used on his holster, the pouches, and any strapping. Black Templar Contrast was used to darken the armour joints and tidy up the carbine. Balthazar Gold was used on any ornate sections of the model. Gory Red was used on his cloak roping, on his chest, lenses, purity seals, and grip on his knife. German Grey was used on the cloak, with some White Scar added into it to do the highlights. On Oil was used to do the wash on the entire model. Sick Green was used on the servo skull little screen on the front of it. Cadian Flesh Tone was used on his face. Cold Grey was used on the masonry that he's standing on. I used Ushanti Bone on the purity seals and the servo skull. I then used some sand from the beach stuck down with PVA uncovered in flesh wash. Let's now have a look at his data sheet, any strats he could use, and how I plan to use them on the tabletop. So here is the Captain in Phobos Armour's data sheet. His basic points value, he starts at 95 points. He's a HQ choice. He has a movement of 6, weapon skill 2+, ballistic skill 2+, strength 4, toughness 4, 6 wounds, 5 attack, leadership of 9, and a 3-up save. A captain in Phobos Armour is equipped with a bolt pistol, a mastercrafted instigator bolt carbine, combat knives, frag grenades, crack grenades, and a camo cloak. So let's have a look at his weapons. The standard profile for a bolt pistol. The mastercrafted instigator bolt carbine is range 30, assault 1, strength 4, -2, and 3 damage. Really good that. But also it has an ability that each time you select a target for this weapon, you ignore the lookout sir rule, which is really good. He can target characters, which is really useful when you've got damage 3 and -2 AP. He's equipped with a combat knife. Each time the bearer fights with it, makes 1 additional attack with this weapon with a standard profile. His camo cloak, each time a ranged attack is allocated to the bearer while he is receiving the benefits of cover, add an additional 1 to any armor saving throw made against that attack. So +1 to his cover save, which is really useful. He has Angels of Death and Concealed Positions, and he also has Rites of Battle, which is an aura. While a friendly chapter core unit is within 6 of this model, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, re-roll a hit roll of 1. So re-rolling 1s. Here's an Iron Halo, so this model has a 4+ invulnerable save. He also is equipped with an Omni Scrambler, so enemy units that are set up on the battlefield as reinforcements cannot be set up within 12 inches of this model. Again, area denial is really important in 9th edition, I feel, when trying to keep your enemy from coming in from reserves. So that 12-inch denial is really useful. His faction keywords are Imperium, Adaptus Astartes. His keywords are Infantry, Character, Primaris, Phobos, and Captain. I've given him a Warlord trait, but he's not actually going to be Warlord in the army, and the trait I've gone for is Lord of Deceit. So after both players have deployed their armies, select up to 3 chapter Phobos units from your army and redeploy them. If the mission uses strategic reserve rules, any of those units can be placed into strategic reserves without having to spend any additional CP, regardless of how many units are already in strategic reserves. If both players have abilities that redeploy units roll off, the winner chooses who redeploys their units first. So this is a little bit sneaking from the captain. So like I said in my previous videos, I'm not nuanced really on the tactics of 40k. What I can really do is play the mission and also play the person that I'm actually fighting against. So my idea is with this is that I will set my captain up in my deployment zone, and he'll be supporting my gun line, but his ability to redeploy units in Phobos Armour will mean that the 2 units of infiltrators that I've got set up on the board, what I'll try and do is try and trick my opponent into thinking that I'm going to be probably concentrating on one particular flank. So I'll set both units up maybe near an objective, hopefully in some cover, on say the left-hand flank, and they'll be the first units that I put down, and hopefully my opponent will take the bait and be drawn into the fact that there's a huge amount of firepower and also units really close to his deployment zone, and hopefully he'll concentrate on that flank. And then when all the rest of the units are set up in my army, I can then redeploy those, and the idea is to jump across to the other side of the board, maybe the right hand flank, where it's less defended and they can have more of an impact on that side. So that's the idea that I'm going with the Lord of Deceit Warlord trait. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of that. So what I've also done is I've upgraded my captain to a chapter master for an additional 40 points. So what does this give me? So a chapter master model gains the following ability. Chapter master, in your command phase, select one friendly chapter core chapter character unit within 6 inches of this model. Until the start of your next command phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, you can re-roll the hit roll. Now that is really useful. So not only is he getting his re-roll ones for the infiltrators because they have got the comms array, so they can be on the other side of the board, still re-rolling ones because of the comms array, and then a core unit or a character within 6 of him can re-roll the hit roll, which is fantastic. So the idea for him is that he'll sit on the back supporting a gun line. He'll then give the reroll ones to the infiltrators up front, and then he'll be able to reroll hit rolls for any units that are around him. So he'll be sitting with a clump of firepower, hopefully, to dish that out and just make it as accurate as possible. He does, it does give you an option of giving him a relic or a warlord trait from this section. So the warlord trait is Master of the Codex. So at the start of your command phase, if this warlord is on the battlefield, roll a 1d6. On a floor plus, you gain 1 command point. Now that is really useful if you've used a lot of command points prior to the game. However, I'm down to 10 command points, which is quite healthy, and you'll get 5 throughout the game. So in total, I'll have 15 command points to play with. So if I make any changes in the army in the future, and I'm running low command points, I can swap over to Master of the Codex. And then the relic you can choose from this section is Angel Artifice. The bearer has a save characteristic of 2+, and add 1 to the bearer's wounds and toughness characteristics. Now, it could be useful, but what I'm planning on doing with the model is that he's going to be sitting at the back and he's going to be shielded as well. So he's with the cloak, he's got a 2+, he'll have 2+ to his cover save. So, and I'm hopefully going to try and have him in cover. So that's not necessarily useful when it comes to a chapter master who's supporting a gun line. Very useful if he's a close combat orientated one. So yeah, won't be going for that, and Master of the Codex, we might use that if I ever change up the army in the future. So he comes in at 95 points basic, and then when you add the chapter master trait to him, he works out at 135 points. It's a little bit expensive, but he comes with a lot of versatility. He's got a good weapon for ranged attacks against characters. His camo cloak gives him good protection if he's in cover. Rites of Battle will allow me to give the reroll ones to infiltrators with the comms array. He's got a 4+ invuln save, and the Omnis Scrambler will be giving me good area denial for deep strikers and enemy reserves coming in. So all in all, I think he's quite useful. Having a look at some potential stratagems. Firstly, we've got transhuman physiology. So for 1 command point, you can use this because he has got the Primaris keyword. Use this stratagem in any phase when a Primaris unit from your army is selected as the target of an attack. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack is made against that unit, an unmodified wound roll of 1 to 3 for that attack fails, irrespective of any abilities that weapon or model making the attack may have. If that unit contains 5 or fewer models, this stratagem costs 1 CP, otherwise it costs 2 CP. So if he finds himself in a tricky situation where he's being targeted, his shielding units have been taken down, and I want to keep him alive, I can use transhuman physiology. Next is Gene Wrought Might. So use this stratagem in the fight phase when a Primaris unit from your army is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, an unmodified hit roll of 6 automatically wounds the target. Now this one is going to be very rare for me to use because, like I said, he's primarily going to be used to be supporting the gun line. But he has got 5 attacks. 6 if he's charged or does charge, so 6 is automatically wounding a target is quite useful if he ever does find himself in close combat. And then he also gets, each time the bearer with the combat knife makes 1 additional attack with his weapon, so 5 attacks basic, 1 for the knife, 1 for being charged or charging. So useful if I do need to use it. Guerrilla tactics. So use this stratagem in your movement phase. When a Phobos unit from your army that is more than 6 inches away from an enemy model is selected to move, if the mission you are playing is using strategic reserves roll, place that unit into strategic reserves. Now again, I brought this up in my previous video with the infiltrators. This is a bit of an interesting one. So in the movement phase, you can pick him up and put him into reserve, that's fine, for 1 command point. But in the reinforcement step of your movement phase, can you bring him on? It doesn't say that you can't, and it doesn't say that you can, but it's not too clear, that one, and I don't want to be that guy who does that. So again, comment below, tell me what you think about that one. Next is uncompromising fire. So for 2 command points, use this stratagem in your shooting phase. Select 1 Adeptus Astartes infantry unit from your army that is performing an action. That unit can shoot this phase without the action failing. So if he does find himself by himself, saying he's trying to deploy scramblers or he's trying to raise the banners or something like that, he has got a fairly effective weapon, and if he finds himself being charged by a character or something like that, and you do need to get some shots off at him, you can do that, but again, quite expensive for 2 command points. And lastly, only in death does duty end. So for 2 command points, use this stratagem in the fight phase when an Adeptus Astartes character model from your army that has not already been selected to fight this phase is destroyed. So do not remove that model from play. It can fight after the attacking model unit has finished making attacks. After resolving the destroyed model's attacks, it is then removed. So if for some reason he does find himself in close combat against a tanky unit, I don't know, say Mortarion for some ridiculous reason, he's going to get absolutely obliterated, but for 2 command points you can fight on death. Probably not really worth it for him because he hasn't got a really good close combat weapon, but if I ever needed to use that, it is available to me. So how will I be using him on the tabletop? Let's have a look. I've got a scenario here. The Inquisition has given me permission to paint up a 10-man Necron warrior squad, which I had in the Indominus box set. This was also a reason why I was quite busy this week. And the idea behind this is to show you the reasoning for taking the captain and how the other squads in the force will be deployed and used, and how effective they could be by being supported by the captain. I've got my 2 5-man tactical squads here at the back acting as a gun line with my chapter master supporting them. My infiltrators have moved up the board to secure this objective, and as you can see, the Necrons are coming in to take this objective. So the chapter master ability allows the character to choose a unit in the command phase to allow them to reroll or hit rolls. So my captain is going to choose the tactical squad here to the left of him to reroll all failed to hit rolls. Let's get on to some shooting. So we're going to start off with the tactical squad here on the left, firing into the Necron warriors. We've got 3 bolt guns within rapid fire range, along with the sergeant's pistol. So that's 2, 4, 6, 7 shots altogether, and we'll be firing the heavy bolter separately. So we're looking for 3s. Okay, so we've got 2 misses. Re-rolling. Okay, so we've now got all of our hits against the warriors. The weapons are strength 4 against toughness 4, so it's 4s to wound. Okay, so we've got 3 wounds. We're going to be in the tactical doctrine for this scenario, so they get an extra pip of AP, so -1. So the Necron Warrior's armor save goes from a 4+ to a 5+. And 2 have gotten through, so we'll just lie those on their side, and 1 survives. Moving on to the heavy bolter, it is heavy 3, strength 5, -1 and 2 damage. So again, looking for 3s and re-rolling all misses. It all hit. Strength 5, toughness 4, we're looking at 3s to wound. 1 is missed. We're looking at 5 ups to save. And 1 has been saved, 1 goes down. So now that tactical squad has finished firing, the Necron warriors can try and resurrect some of those models. So they resurrect on a 5+, and they re-roll any 1s. So 2 fail and 1 does get back up. Moving on to the captain himself, he is armed with a mastercrafted Instigator bolt carbine, which is assault 1, strength 4, AP -2 and 3 damage. So we're looking for 2s with his weapon skill. So he does hit. Strength 4, toughness 4, so we're looking for 4s to wound. It doesn't. We'll use a command point. Does wound, AP -2, 6 up save on the Necron warrior. It doesn't, he goes down. That unit is finished firing now, so you can attempt to resurrect on a 5 up, re-rolling 1s. It doesn't, so that Necron warrior is now removed. Next we'll be firing this tactical squad here. They won't be getting the full re-rolls from the captain, as he granted that to this tactical squad here. We've got 3 bolt guns in range, rapid firing, the heavy bolter, but not the sergeant's bolt pistol, that's just out of range. So 6 shots from the bolt guns, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s. So we've got 2 1s. Nope, doesn't help. Strength 4, toughness 4, so we're looking for 4s. 2 wounds go through, AP -1 because this is the tactical deduction, so 5 ups. 1 does go through. Then we move on to the heavy bolter. 3 shots, hitting on 3s. No re-rolls because of the 2s. Wounded on 3s. Does go through. -1. 5 up save. Oh, another one goes down. That unit is now finished firing. So we'll roll up for resurrection for the Necron warriors. So 5s, re-rolling 1s. And both of them get back up. Finally, we'll be firing with the Infiltrator squad. They're armed with the Marksman Bolt Carbine, which is range 24, rapid fire 1, strength 4, AP 0 and damage 1. But its ability is each time an attack is made with this weapon, an unmodified hit roll of 6 automatically wounds the target. So we're looking for 6s to hit. With the comms array, the whole squad gets the ability to re-roll 1s for the captain, even though he is more than 6 inches away from them. So rapid firing, we've got 20 shots, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s from the captain. Sixes automatically wound, so we've got 2 6s there, and loads of 1s. Okay, let's get rid of the misses. There we go. Got a couple more 6s come through. Strength 4, toughness 4, so we're wounding on 4s. So we're in the tactical doctrine, so it's -1 AP, so we're looking for 5 ups on the Necron warriors. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 warriors downed. Now with the entire squad destroyed, the unit does not get access to resurrection protocols, so that's them removed from play. The Marines have now secured this objective and this sector for the Imperium. So that's my training session over with my Space Marines, and hopefully that gives you a good indication of how I'm planning to use them on the battlefield, with a solid gun line at the back supported by a character, with squads of infiltrators moving up to take objectives and to hold the enemy back. If you've got any thoughts or recommendations on the tactics that I'm planning on using, please put them in the comments section below. I'd really appreciate it. So there you have it, my army is starting to take shape. I have 3 troop choices with a HQ, which fulfills the minimum requirement for a battalion detachment, and I also have some options for changing the weapon loadouts on my tactical squads. So what's next on my to-do list? Well, this week I'm going to finish off my second squad of infiltrators, and then I'll be moving on to my next character, which will be a Primaris Apothecary. So another busy week ahead of me. So that's it from me. If you've enjoyed the video, please consider giving me a thumbs up, and if you haven't, give me a thumbs down. And if you want to support the channel, hit that subscribe button. It really does help me out at no extra cost to yourself. And again, comment below with any hints and tips for myself and the development of my chapter, and hopefully I'll see you next time.